Hello, everyone, and today I'm going to announce my 2024 NBA playoffs first round and play-in predictions. To start off with the East play-in, with the number 9 seed Bulls versus the number 10 seed Hawks, I see the Bulls winning that playing game. Because to frankly put it, honestly, Chicago has been a much better team, even though they're under 500. They've been a much better team than they were to start off the season, and that's without Zach LaVine. And also, the Hawks have been really disappointing this season. They've improved as well within recent time, but they should be a much better team than they are right now. They should not be under 500 with players like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. They definitely shouldn't be under 500. And well, they should even have a better record than the Bulls. But moving on from that, in the playing game of the number 7 seed Sixers versus number 8 seed Heat, I see the Heat winning that game. And why I see the Heat winning that game is because the Sixers, they have managed to stay afloat without Joel Embiid when he was injured. But honestly, I just do not think that this team can handle a team like the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat is a team where you cannot be fooled by their regular season record. We all seen that in last season. We all know what they did last season. And once again, they were going through injury problems this season, but arguably they have a better team than they did have last season. I mean, they got the front runners, Jimmy and Bam, but they also have a new rookie. I forget how to say his name. It starts with a J, and his first name starts with a J, and his last name starts with a J. And I think he's also a junior, so that's the triple J. You also got Tyler Hero, who missed most of the playoffs last season, and he was the Heat's leading scorer last season. I'm not sure if he was this season, but he's the best scorer, and they didn't even have him for most of the majority of last season. But he's as of right now he's healthy for the team. So you're going to have him as well. You also have the addition of Terry Rozier, who they got for just sending a veteran Kyle Lowry away, which is astonishing. They got a free 20-point scorer who's having his best season for really not anything too much to ask for. They also have a really unique bench. They have Thomas Brown, who's a bucket getter for a center. They have Patty Mills, a 3-point specialist. Who else do they have? They have Caleb Martin. That man, he was a different player. Come playoff time last season, he was arguably he was playing like an all star in the playoffs last season. So yeah, the Heat they're stacked. So do not let that A seed fool you. That's a team that really likes to drift during the season and turn up when playoffs time. That's a smart way of thinking. So I would definitely give that to the Heat because I just don't see the Sixers, and not to mention the Sixers have a whole bunch of trades that they just stored into their team and stuff. They have a much better team than last season, I would say that. And that's with the improvement of Joel Embiid, who's having before prior to getting injured, was having his best season ever, and Tyrese Maxey, who was just blossomed out the gate. He became an All Star for the first season. He's had multiple 50-point games this season. And you also have the addition of Kelly Oubre, Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris. Even though I haven't seen too much him playing. You also got Kyle Lowry. You got Buddy Hield. So the Sixers, they got some, and they also got some other bench players that are good too. The Sixers, they got depth. They got depth right there. So, but honestly, they have not like I said, or I'm not sure if I said this before, but they have not played too much for me to really know what is the makeup of that team. I just don't know what that team looks like completely healthy. No one knows because that team is so newly constructed. So I'm going to give this to the Heat as a safe pick. And personally, I just like the Heat better. Jimmy's that guy. Um, Now for the final playing game with the number 8 Sixers versus number 9 Bulls, I see the Sixers winning this one. I know I said the Sixers. I don't really know what they look like as a basketball team with all these new trades and whatnot. but I think they can handle the Bulls. I think that's better said. The Bulls, they just not. They just don't got enough talent enough. DeMar DeRozan, I mean, and Nikola Vucevic, and I don't know. I think I have not seen like Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine he's out for the remaining of the season. So yeah, honestly, there's no way that team could beat the Sixers when both teams are in the condition that they are in right now. So moving on to the East playoffs, the number one seeded Celtics of the whole entire NBA versus the number 8 seed Sixers. I see the Celtics winning that in 7 games. Believe it or not, because um, the Sixers they gave the Celtics trouble last season. It went to 7 games with a team that had James Harden and Joel Embiid disappear at multiple times throughout the series, and they still managed to push it to 7. So you have a Joel Embiid team now with a much better Joel Embiid team and a much better Tyrese Maxey and a whole bunch of new depth players, a whole bunch of new bench players who even though we haven't seen all of them play together for that much, I think talent wise they can get something done. And the Celtics, they got much better too from last season, obviously with the addition to Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. But the Celtics, they do have this tendency to show flaws in that iron armor, chunks in that iron armor. That the Sixers they did expose last season, and they nearly beat them in 7 games. But just like last season, I do see the Celtics win out in 7 games against the Sixers because honestly, I just the Sixers they haven't got enough time playing together with this new creative roster. So I just don't think they can get against a team like juggernaut team like the Celtics. Any other team they probably could have a chance besides the Heat and stuff. But honestly, when it comes to a team like the Celtics, I don't. It's just not going to go their way. So moving on, the number 2 seed Knicks versus the number 7 seed Heat. I see the Heat winning that in 5 games, simply because of the fact because I know the Knicks they took the Heat to 6 games last season, and they were the high seed that season too. But the Knicks they do not have Julius Randle. They're not gonna have Julius Randle for the remainder of the season. So that quickly, I mean, if they couldn't even beat him with Julius Randle last season in 6 games, and they definitely ain't gonna beat him now. Just know. So I see the Heat winning that in 5. Unfortunately, the injury to Julius Randle is really gonna hurt the Knicks in this series, and the Heat and they're a much better team than last season too. So the Heat, I see the Heat taking care of business in this one. So I'm giving this to the Heat with confidence. Now, moving on to the number 3 seed Bucks versus the number 6 seed Pacers. Believe it or not, I'm going to see the Pacers win in 6 games. Honestly, I do not see the Bucks they've been good. Obviously, they won 49 games. That's 8 games above 500, but they have not been good to an extent that everybody is really supposed to as everyone has expected them to be as good as. They should be a 50-win team, but they're not a 50-win team, and that's with 2 of the greatest scorers we've ever seen in NBA history, Giannis and Damian Lillard. They have a great bench too. I know their defense did take a hit, but they have the run out for the defensive player of the year. They shouldn't be that damn bad defensively, but they are that bad defensively. They got worse coaching wise. Don't even know why they fired the coach to begin with. They were 30-13 with him. And honestly, the Pacers, we seen the headlines. The Pacers, they were 4-1 against the Bucks. This season, in the regular season, and even though the Pacers they don't really have too much playoff experience themselves either. Tyrese Halliburton has no playoff experience at all, but I just really realistically, the Bucks have been really disappointing. I don't even know if Giannis. I don't know. I haven't checked up myself whether or not Giannis is coming how many games Giannis is going to play in the series, whether he's going to be starting for the game one or he's going to be missing game one, or how many games he's going to be missing or playing. I haven't even done a research on that. But either way, with Giannis playing or not, it doesn't matter at all, to be honest with you. I still see the Pacers winning this one because as a team, the Bucks have been disappointing. And I think this is time for Tyrese Halliburton to really shine, to really make a name in the league. He's the NBA's poster boy, and he's gonna show you why he's the NBA's poster boy in this series. Moving on from that, we have the number 4 seed Cavaliers versus the number 5 seed Magic. I see the Cleveland Cavaliers winning in 5 games. There's not too much I'm going to say on this one. Cleveland has been a terrific team this season, much better than last season, I would say. They've had a fair heap of injuries this season as well, but they've done better than that than last season. The Magic, they're just too young of a team for me to realistically say that they can beat a squad like Cleveland that has Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Paulo Banchero, he's been a nice all-star this season, but I just don't think he and his team have too much experience to really realistically beat the Cavaliers. And I just don't. And I know the Magic are a good defensive team, but I don't think they can do what the Knicks did last season in lockdown and give trouble to Donovan Mitchell like they did. So honestly, I think the Cavs should easily win this one against the Magic. And that's what I got for the East first round playoff predictions. For the West play-in, the number 9 seed Kings versus the number 10 seed Warriors. I see the Warriors winning this one. And this is a big one I just already dropped the ball on. The reason why I see the Warriors winning this one is because, I don't mean to be arrogant. Well, I do mean to be arrogant in saying this. They're the Golden State Warriors. They won 4 championships in the last 9 seasons. 9 years. They have a really stacked team themselves. I know they've been facing with a whole bunch of injuries, a whole bunch of drama themselves, and a whole bunch of player regressions themselves this season as well. But I still got faces to Golden State Warriors. You got Stephen Curry. Don't got to say too much about him. You got Klay Thompson. Even though he's regressed, I still have faith that he can at least come back into his prime somewhat, to say the least. I still have faith that Draymond Green can come back into his prime somewhat, to say the least. I can see Wiggins getting back to rhythm. I see Chris Paul turn back the clock. I see Kevon Looney, even though I haven't heard too much from him recently. I see Kevon Looney getting back to rhythm. Not to mention they've had some good rookie additions, really good rookie additions. Jonathan Kuminga, I expect him to have a breakout. And honestly, the Kings, they also have injuries as well. They're going to be missing Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. I just don't see how this Kings team, they couldn't beat the Warriors last season in a 7-game series. What makes you think that they're going to somehow, some way beat them this season, and they're missing 2 of their best role players? They're missing their best 6-man. He was a guy who I think should have possibly been the 6-man of the year last season, Malik Monk. They're going to be missing him. So honestly, I just don't see how the Kings could beat the Warriors. Even though they are the high seed because of the tiebreaker, I just don't see how they could beat the Warriors when they couldn't beat them last season, and they depleted this season. So that's just my take on it. I do see the Warriors beating the Kings. Moving on, the number 7 seed Pelicans versus number 8 seed Lakers. I see the Lakers winning that one. Honestly, the Pelicans, they've been going through some injuries as well. Their roster has been kind of confusing. Ironically enough, Zion has not been the one that's been most injured on this team, and he usually is the one that's most injured on this team. He's played 70 games this season. Shout out to our brother doing his thing. Even with all the media craziness that's going on with him in his life, I wish him the best. Thank goodness he's out. He's able to play basketball. Thank goodness that hasn't taken away from his basketball career. But honestly, I just don't see how the Pelicans could honestly beat the Lakers. The Lakers, they're a veteran team. They have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell. These are 3 all-star type players. Not to mention the Lakers bench. with Rui, or he may be in the starting line. He switches from bench to not, but they're role players. Rui, Austin Reeves, who can turn to all stars if needed to. Um, I just honestly, and they also got the addition of Spencer Dinwiddie. They got Jackson Hayes. They got Gabe Vincent, who finally came back. Honestly, they should be able to get this job done against the Pelicans. The Pelicans have not really. I think once again, unfortunately, injuries have hit the Pelicans once again, and honestly, that's I just don't. I think a team like the Lakers, who beat them by a lot in the final game of the season, regular season. I think they're going to be able to get the job done in the play-in as well and move up to the higher seed and take that seventh seed. So, my last playing game that I'm going to talk about in the West, the number 8 seed Pelicans versus number 19 Warriors. I see the Warriors winning that game, uh, because the last two reasons I said before. Number one is the Warriors; they have experience. I'm not bothered by their seeding, and number two, the Pelicans. Their injuries have not really their injuries have really kept them back from their team identity. Honestly, I think the Warriors are also going to do the same thing. The Lakers didn't take advantage of the Pelicans being really so just unable to really really get the job done. And I do see the Warriors really taking this one, because one thing about the Warriors, that the Warriors, they may have had some disappointing losses this season and the season prior before. But honestly, one thing we do know the Warriors can do is that when they get pushed against the wall, when it seems like all hope is nearly lost, they turn up and they wake up. And they did do that do that last season when they beat the Kings in the 7 game series, and I do think they can do it again in a playing game against the Kings once again, and the Pelicans. So I do see the Warriors beating the Pelicans here and taking that A seed and becoming the first ever 10th seeded team. Yes, the first, I can't believe I'm saying that. The first ever 10th seeded team in NBA history to win, to make it out the play-in and make it to the playoffs. That's just mind blowing right there. Now moving on to the West playoffs, and this is very intriguing to me. My predictions for the West playoffs, I see the number 1 seeded Thunder versus number 8 Warriors. I see the Warriors winning this in 7. And let me explain myself on this one. The reason why I see the Warriors beating the Thunder, even though they have the best record in the West, the Warriors are the worst seeded out of the play-in / playoff teams record wise. The Warriors, they have experience. The Thunder, they don't. The Warriors were going through injuries and a whole bunch of drama. The Thunder, for the most part, weren't. And I think that's the reason why the records could fool you, because really, not even just the Warriors, but many other teams in the West have the record that you thought they should have because of injuries and other type of drama that's been going on. So, and the Warriors, I do believe, are one of those teams that's unfortunately suffered from that case. So I will give this to the Warriors because of experience. And honestly, we never really seen this Thunder team do too much in the playoffs outside of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander going to the playoffs in 2020 as a youngin, and in 2019 when he was on the Clippers. So I just don't see how this Thunder team experience wise could get the job done against the Warriors. I just don't really see it. They're gonna put up a fight because they've been much better than expected. Yeah, I did not expect them to be the number 1 best team in the West at all places, but they have put some respect on their name, and I do expect them to put up a fight against the Warriors, just not win that series against the Warriors. Moving on, number 2 seed Nuggets versus number 7 seed Lakers. I see the Lakers winning that in 6 games, and I do see the Lakers beating the defending champions, because I do not think with a complete team that has had numerous time to have chemistry. Remember, this Lakers team, the additions of D'Lo, Jared Vanderbilt, and now you have new additions of Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood. I don't know if he's coming back or not, because I heard I think he was injured for some time. Jackson Hayes, Spencer Dinwiddie, Rui Hachimura. Remember, a couple of those players, they got picked up last season within the trade deadline, so they really didn't have time to play with each other. and mesh together and really have a team identity because they just got put together with like about 20 something games left in the season. So I really can't say we really don't know what their team identity was last season, and they managed to go all the way to the conference finals, and every single game they played against the Nuggets was a close one. I mean, so you tell me you put them in a situation now where they've had a full season to mess with each other, and you got new other pieces that are better fits for the Lakers. You know, they also have a season to mesh with each other. I definitely do think they now can beat the Nuggets because they now have experience and chemistry playing with each other. Honestly, I just do not. The Nuggets, honestly, I don't want to take it away from the Nuggets 2023 championship, but I honestly do think all the good teams in their conference that they face, having no chemistry and being injured, I honestly do think the Nuggets really benefited off that, and it's not a knock to their championship. It's not put an asterisk on their championship, but honestly, when you have every advantage like that in every series that you're playing, I mean, come on, it's gonna be evident that that your team can. It's gonna be evident that the style of play is gonna defer. So you take that out the way, I think you have a much different series with the Lakers and the Nuggets, and I do see the Lakers winning that against the Nuggets as well in six. And I do think, on a side note, I do think LeBron personally wants to get some revenge against the Nuggets and Mike Malone because Mike Malone was talking a lot. Well, keep on talking once it comes playoff time. And moving on, I have the number 3 seeded Wolves versus number 6 seeded Suns. I see the Suns winning that in 6. Honestly, the Wolves, they've been a really surprising team this season, even with Cat injured. But honestly, I do not think they have enough firepower to defeat the Suns. The Suns, honestly, they should be a better team than they are right now, record wise. But the injuries has really hit them hard. But I still think talent wise, that's I mean, you have 3 of the greatest stories in NBA history on one team, and you also have a really good bench that complements them. I mean, a bench that can get buckets occasionally, even a buckets occasionally too for them. I just don't see how the Wolves, experience wise, and they have not too much playoff experience themselves either. I just do not see how the Wolves are going to get that done. I just don't see how the Wolves can get against this juggernaut team. And like I said, do not let the seeding and the recording fool you. This is a new NBA. Records don't matter. They just don't matter no more. We seen that in 2016 with the Warriors and the Cavaliers. Cavaliers won 16 last games in the Warriors in the regular season, beat them in 7 in the finals. So anything's possible. So, but honestly, I do think the Suns are going to get this done. The Suns, they're a juggernaut super team that many people want to call it. They have too much talent for me to go against them. And honestly, that's my phone. Hold on. I don't know why I'm getting called. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Moving on from that. Like I said, yeah, the Suns. I do think the Suns are gonna get that done. Um, they have too much talent and experience compared to the Wolves. That for me to go against them, that would just be madness. Injuries is what prevented their record from being what it should be, but I still think they can get it done come playoff time. So I'm going with the Suns. I'm not going against them. And honestly, this is my biased thing. I want to see KD win. KD, that's my dog. That's one of my favorite players. I want to see him win, and KD is gonna win. I rock with Anthony Edwards too. He's the same age as me, but I mean, I've been rocking with KD since 2010, so I'm rooting for KD in this one. And the last series for me to talk about in my predictions is number 4 seed Clippers versus number 5 seed Mavericks of the Western Conference playoffs. I do see the Mavericks finally defeating the Clippers after years of embarrassment. I do see the Mavericks beating the Clippers in 7 games. And honestly, this is really going to be the most heartbreaking series, I think, personally, out of all the series that are going to go on, because the Clippers and the Mavericks, these are two juggernaut teams that have to face each other in the first round. One of these two teams in this series is going home in the first round. One of them is going home. The Super Team Clippers and the Kyrie and Luka Mavs, who got a way better, who got better post trade deadline with their new accusations of role players. One of those two teams is going home. One of those, it doesn't even make any sense. I'm like, what? How's one of those teams going home in the first round? Well, unfortunately, man, that's just reality. And honestly, the Clippers, who also have their fair share of embarrassments too, with all these injuries. Honestly, I do see the Mavs getting past them because I think the Clippers are in a state where now they're vulnerable. The Mavs, they have gotten, they're not the same Mavs when Porzingis was on there. They're a much better, a much more respectable team, much more mature team, I would say. Um, 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 I just felt myself fart. So if someone heard it on the camera, I'm sorry for that one. It happens. I'm a human being. I'm sorry about that. But I do see the Mavericks taking care of business in 7 games, finally getting their revenge against the Clippers, who have been haunting them for a while. So I just I see Luka finally becoming that um, MVP player that he's been groomed out to be. I do see Kyrie taking care of business. He's my favorite player, so I want to see him taking care of business. And honestly, I do rock with Paul George, but honestly, I just do not see. Honestly, the Clippers. I don't know. Like, this is a really close matchup, so I really can't say one team's gonna really blow out that each other. This is why I think it's going to 7 games because I mean, honestly, it's just too close of a matchup to call. But honestly, I think the Mavericks got this one. I think Luka's in his bag right now. Kyrie, even though he's been injured, he's recovered. He's in his bag right now. I don't think the Clippers. I just don't honestly don't think the Clippers. Even though this is maybe the best Clippers team we've seen in a while. Honestly, I mean, one thing that's been an area of concern for the Clippers is that James Harden, scoring wise, has not been that dude, in which he should have. He should. I mean, he's regressed significantly scoring. So I think that's gonna hurt the Clippers much the most when it comes to this series. Whether or not James Harden is he gonna become MVP James Harden or Sixth Man of the Year James Harden. So honestly, it depends on it really is gonna rely on James Harden. But honestly, I'm going to lean with the Mavericks over here. Um, and I want to see. I definitely want to see Kyrie win. And honestly, and I do think the Mavericks are going to take care of business in this one and finally beat the Clippers in this first round matchup. Sad to see the Clippers would have to go away in the first round with that good team, but nothing's perfect out here. So to conclude, that is my 2024 NBA playoffs first round of playing predictions. And I hope whoever's watching this views me as a basketball analyst because I definitely do. And I hope that everyone who watched this enjoyed the video, and please support me. This is on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If this is on Instagram, follow me, like this video, share this video, and yo, catch me with more content in the future. Goodbye, everyone.